So the second best decision in my life was becoming a data analyst. But the best decision in my life was quitting that same data analyst job. So 9 years ago, I accidentally stumbled upon data analytics without even having a related degree. And the craziest part is that I never wanted to become a data analyst. I actually hated working with numbers. You see, I studied industrial engineering and management at the University of Groningen. I'm Dutch, which was a technical study, and I hated it and I loved it at the same time. I loved it because it was way more challenging than just your regular business study. I had to learn calculus, I had to learn engineering, physics, electronics, which made it way more challenging and interesting. But I hated it because I didn't want to work with numbers in front of a screen for the rest of my life. I didn't want to be a nerd, even though I was. Still am.
What up, that nerd?
I wanted to be a manager and work with people because I thought that would give me energy. Boy, was I wrong. Because after I graduated, my first real job was working as a tech recruiter. So on the one side, I had to find tech professionals, and on the other side, I had to find businesses that were looking for tech professionals, and I basically had to connect them. But that meant 80% of the time, I was just cold calling people and listening to people and companies telling me to piss off. And even though I did learn a bit of sales, after 1 month, I just quit because tech recruitment was not for me. But right after that, I applied for an IT management traineeship, which I got hired for. And basically it meant I would follow some courses, get some coaching, get some certification, and I would be sent out to my first project. And for me, that was the role of a process consultant for a company that basically built the infrastructure for T-Mobile, Vodafone, the big telecom companies. So basically they built the optic fiber that gives you internet in your house, and they build the mobile antennas that give you internet to your smartphone. And I basically had to look at Excel spreadsheets most of the time, running daily and weekly reports. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna do this for a long time. Either I become a project manager or something, or I quit my job and do something completely different. And I remember back then, I was so desperate, I didn't like my job at the time, that I was considering joining the army, but not the regular army. I was considering joining the commandos, like the most brutal special forces elite department of the army. Anything was better than staring at spreadsheets, I thought at the time. But being completely honest, as time went on, I kind of started liking working with numbers and spreadsheets. It kind of felt like you're solving puzzles all the time, connecting the right data with each other, finding the right formulas. But I'll be honest, I was really lucky. Because before this job, I had zero experience working with Excel. And a big factor that helped me get good with numbers and Excel and spreadsheets was the fact that I could pick the brain of someone who was an awesome and helpful colleague, to the point where I asked questions every 5 minutes, every single day.
What is this?
That's cheese.
What is this?
That's cheese.
And this, what is this?
Cheese also.
But he was really patient and helped me out a lot. Because of him, I actually got good with Excel. And because of him, I actually started liking working with Excel, because once you're good at it, it becomes a bit more fun. But still, I thought, not gonna do this for the rest of my life. I want to become a manager because they all seem so busy and important. I wanted that too. But as I was getting better with Excel on the one hand, on the other hand, I also started working more and more with people and stakeholders and managers. And as I got to spend more time talking with them, I also learned that probably 9 out of 10 of those people couldn't care less about their job. They constantly complained about their work, about the workload, about each other, about the manager. And it even got to the point where we all had to come together and attend this workshop given by some kind of business psychologist, where he talked about personality colors and how you could be blue and he could be red, and this meant you had to approach each other in this kind of way. But honestly, nobody gave a fuck. They just wanted to do the minimum amount of work to not get fired so they could get paid and pay their monthly bills. And I thought to myself, man, just bad luck being in such a toxic department. This is probably the only department that's like this. Boy, was I wrong again. Because here's what happened next. For the next 2 years, I continued working at the same company, but I switched departments. And at this department, we were a bit more advanced when it comes to data analytics. I still got to use Excel, but we also started working with Power BI, which was a cool business intelligence tool to make reports and dashboards. I took a couple of courses on edX to get good with Power BI, and I even asked my manager if it was possible to go into advanced analytics and start getting good at Python. And my manager at the time, who was one of the best managers I've ever had, gave us the opportunity to follow a Python course and get good at Python so we could use it in our day-to-day job. So somewhere in that year, I guess you could say I became a data analyst. Even though I started as a process consultant, I started working more and more with data, analyzing data, working with numbers, building graphs and dashboards. So eventually I did all the tasks that a data analyst does, so I became a data analyst. And most data analysts I know become data analysts in exactly the same way. They transition slowly into the role.